Hello and welcome back to You Don't Know Her, the mindset podcast all about creating the best life for yourself, one by design, not by default. And today we're absolutely delighted to be joined again by Oscar Fitchett. How are you doing, Oscar?
I'm doing smashing, thank you.
Perfect, good to hear that. So I just wanted to jump straight back in to kind of pick up where we left off, because we just started talking about the idea of being in the cinema, being in the room, kind of being in that moment and distraction free.
Sacred space.
Sacred space, being just a phenomenal space to go to. And I wanted to mention to you, I don't know if you are aware that they do this in America, that they've got specific cinemas for people who want to be on the phone texting.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much. It makes so little sense to me. It's the same thing where, like, apparently there's, like, cinemas where it's, like, it's a playground, so, like, your kids can, like, go down a slide and everything. I'm like, fucking, what happened to teaching kids patience?
Yeah, it's because a lot of people around here rave about the cinema called the Everyman, where
Everyman's class.
It's, but I don't know how it works, but because I've not been, but I've heard it's a lot of coming in and constantly delivering food.
Yeah, I've been once. I went in the one in Newcastle.
Yeah.
For the Irishman, and from my understanding, it is that because you can order.
Yeah.
You can order drinks and
but
food.
It's not too distracting. It's like.
From my memory, I don't remember.
Okay.
From my memory, the way the seats are, they're quite far anyway. It's a big, it's like quite a long space, so like no one's necessarily like in your line of view, if you know what I mean. So there's enough like space to where there isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I was watching The Irishman, so like from my memory, I was engrossed into that film. I don't recall anyone dipping in and out, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the specific like the doorway in and out is like isolate. There's like a little hall isolated from the main hallway and the cinema, so it's almost like that in between, if you know what I mean. Where it's like, so I think there's no light breaking in. Yeah. From my memory, at least. But yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's good to hear then. Yeah, because I'll probably check it out then. But that was kind of a fear going into it. But obviously, The Irishman, it's a 3-hour film, isn't it? It's
3 hours, 3.5.
3.5 hour. Yeah. But because is that, as a filmmaker, are you still always, regardless of kind of runtime and everything like that, are you just kind of captivated by the whole thing?
As a film viewer, I don't care as long as I'm interested.
Yeah.
The Batman's 3 hours, and I could watch 3 more hours of that film.
Yeah.
Dunkirk is an hour 45, and I could do with an hour 40 less of it. If I'm being perfect, I'm in the minority with that. It's not about pacing, isn't it? As a filmmaker, I mean, like, the dream would be like, I could just do whatever length of film I want. I don't, whatever. But obviously, with like, especially with short films, a lot of competitions and festivals only take certain length.
Yeah.
Like the longest you should hope to be is 15 minutes as a short film.
Yeah.
Some film festivals can maybe be a bit more lenient in 20 minutes. But with me, it's like, I don't know. I very rarely have written a script and made a film just to like, and be like, oh God, I need to cut that down. I make however long it needs to be made.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it just doesn't get into certain competitions, then it doesn't.
Yeah.
At this point in my like filmmaking adventure, I don't care.
Yeah.
The film's as long as it is.
Yeah, There's you're not sticking to something like a script or a formula like, oh yeah, let's do a 90-minute, let's get this done and in and out and all that sort of thing. It's like, it's a story. It'll take as long as it
I think sometimes you need it. Again, from my uni project, they specifically were like, it needs to be 15 minutes.
Yeah.
My end of year film ended up being 22 minutes, I will say. I got a pass for that though. I showed the film, and at the time it was like 20 minutes. I was like, I don't know what I can cut. And they went like, yeah, I wouldn't cut anything. I'm fine with that. Oh, cheers, thanks, mate. But like the whole, I wrote the script. It was 17 pages, which usually page per minute-ish would be 17 minutes-ish. So I was like, okay, maybe get away with that. So I think it's a good exercise to try to, because then, as we were saying in a previous conversation, limits, you can make better stuff if you limit yourself a bit more, I think. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, if you're limiting yourself to make a film within 10 minutes, for example, to really try focus on story and try and make that the main focus. Yeah. And if you can do a good story within a short time, it's great. Yeah. I think Rian Johnson, who is the filmmaker who did Knives Out and controversial Last Jedi. I'm not getting into that. I love it. That's it. That's my thing there. But Rian Johnson, he says like the perfect length of a film is 85 minutes. Oh, really? And he went, and I've yet to do that. It is mined an 85-minute, so an hour 25 is the perfect length. Because if you can do an amazing film in that length, you've done a banging film because you're not overstaying your welcome, is what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah. In my head, it's like, again, I think the greatest film ever made is 12 Angry Men. It's an hour and a half. It's 12 jurors in a jury room, and that's the film. Another greatest film of all time, I think, which is very close to it, is Seven Samurai. It's 3.5 hours, big epic. Both of them are amazing, I think. So I think it just, whatever the story warrants, I think, with runtime.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I've never thought about that, like an 85-minute being an optimum runtime. Because sometimes my perception is like 90 minutes was always in my head of what the kind of almost a minimum though, like 90-minute minimum. Yeah. So whenever I've seen something and you can see the runtime, like when you're watching a streaming service and it does say 1 hour 27 or whatever, and I'm thinking, my first thought is, could they not come up with another 3 minutes worth of film, to get it to that 90-minute mark?
Yeah, I know.
But
so
actually,
I sometimes get excited if I see, first if I hear there's buzz about the film, and then I look at the runtime and I see it's like, say 85 minutes, for example, I almost get even more excited. Because I'm like, okay. Yeah. They must do, there's a certain energy to it. I don't know if that's only me, I can't really explain it, but there's just something about it where again, even if the film is amazing, if it's really long, you do need almost build the energy up. Like there's a film going to be coming out called The Brutalist, which is getting a big awards hype, and it's like 3.5 hours. And I'm excited for it, but I know for a fact I can only see that in the cinema, because otherwise I'm going to struggle motivation-wise to be in my own house and stick it on. Whereas if I go to the cinema, I'm like, right, I'm here. Like, I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon since the cinema.
No, really.
And I loved it. I liked that film a lot. But, I've only got so much time.
Can't watch everything.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, if there's, a really great 85-minute film, I'll love to watch it in the cinema. It'll be an easy watch. Sometimes you kind of just want to chill, watch a film and just chill at home. And a short film usually is kind of perfect for that, in my opinion. So if there's a great film with that length, it has more rewatchability, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm rewatching Black Mirror at the moment, and for me, that show is essentially every single episode is a film.
It is, yeah.
So some of the episodes may only be 45 minutes, but they'll build a world within that time, and they'll explore different facets of life, society, technology, everything like that, and you'll get the end, and I just think, wow, regardless what the episode was, they're always incredible. So. Not just in terms of features, but short films, so even things that are maybe 10, 20 minutes or whatever. Again, is that runtime irrelevant? Can a story be told effectively in a shorter time like that, or do you think it needs to be a feature to the point of 85 minutes to really explore a full thing?
I mean, shorts and features have their own format, I think. I think you can. There's one short film. There's actually it's a short film called Good Morning, which is by a filmmaker called Satoshi Kon, who did, don't know if you know, Perfect Blue and Paprika. Okay. Perfect Blue was a film that Darren Aronofsky basically took to do Black Swan. And Paprika was a big influence for Inception. An anime filmmaker, and he's got this one short film called Good Morning, and it's 1 minute. And it's maybe my favourite short film of all time. But the story wouldn't be a feature film. It's kind of just this 1 minute beautifully animated sequence of a woman waking up, and it kind of overlaps her whole routine. So it's she's on the screen brushing her hair while also on screen brushing her teeth. And so it's just this big, I can't quite explain it. It's on YouTube. You can go and find it, but it's great. And then it just ends. And it's that was brilliant. Or another, but that story, if someone pitched that as a feature film, what a woman gets ready in the morning. And, but as a short film, it's that's class, really. To me, I don't know. I'm not sure if I sold it well. Yeah. But it's the way it's edited, it's the way it's animated, the score that accompanies it. Yeah. And it's a bit more, okay. That was, again, 1 minute, and it was that was a really good 1 minute. Yeah. Again, it all comes back to story. Right. Always comes back to story if it warrants it. Yeah. If it feels like it needed that length. Yeah. Go over it.
You'll know based on the story. You might come up with a story and go, okay, this could be a good short film. Yeah. Not the other way around.
There's some instances where, we talk about Saw. The short film Saw wasn't made as a short film and a feature. James Wan, Lee Winnell had the feature film, but they needed to try to sell the film, so they made the short film as a proof of concept. They took the reverse bear trap, which is a scene from Saw. I was like, let's just take that and make a short film about that scene as like a concept of it. Or like Whiplash, which is one of my all-time favorite films.
I love Whiplash.
I absolutely adore it. That was a feature film script, but they had to sell the film and made a short film, which the short film it's the first sequence of Were You Russian or Are You Dragon?
Okay.
But it's just that scene. It's when he's first playing drums for J.K. Simmons. And that like won like Sundance Awards for short film or whatever, which helped get the feature film made.
Yeah.
Because again, a drama about a jazz drummer. Yeah, but this is what it would look like. Oh, well, that looks class. I want more of that.
Yeah.
Do that. So it has its balance, I think, with that.
Yeah.
Like short film storytelling.
Yeah, and it's become very, very popular. The Whiplash as a feature.
Oh, it's still getting talked about. I think it's a decade old now. It's still like more people are finding it.
Yeah, and The Sound of Metal. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, did that come out after Whiplash? Yeah, I thought it did. So I assume it's been heavily inspired by Whiplash in a way.
I mean, I don't know. I guess the only ties is there's drumming.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different kind of
film, but different. Just get you really in the mindset of a drummer and a musician that way, and yeah, that's the whole point of both films. It's not specifically about the drums. It's about the interactions between the characters.
It's about Whiplash is about Andrew Neyman just going for a dream, and Terence Fletcher is the opposing that. Could be about anything.
Yeah.
The film you could take the exact same story from Whiplash and throw it in somewhere like Star Wars, and it would still make sense.
Yeah.
Instead of drumming, it's big like lightsaber fights, but the story would still match that.
Yeah.
Exactly the same story, flip what it's about.
Yeah.
Which is also, I also of the opinion if you've got a big idea, it's like, yeah, but this doesn't I can't afford to do this big epic medieval battle. It's like, well, how about you take the story and make it something smaller then?
Yeah.
Exact same story, just set it in modern day and then just,
Yeah.
shrink it. If you've got a good story, it can translate through many genres.
Yeah. I think we've touched on it a couple of times now, so I think it's probably worth exploring Star Wars. I know we won't delve too. We could talk for hours, I'm sure, about Star Wars as a whole. But that's the film that's obviously stood the test of time, and from its first film back in the 70s right up till present day, now it's become much bigger than the film and the franchise of a film. It's everything
probably
around
the
it.
biggest franchise.
Yeah.
In film, at least, it's probably the biggest.
Yeah, but again, it was like you say, it's the story, isn't it? To start with, it's
a hero's journey.
Yeah, and
Classic.
that's kind of spiraled everything.
Yeah.
So what is that big inspiration to you as a filmmaker to look back at what they've done? No, the whole thing.
No, personally, no.
Right.
I'll keep it brief with my relationship with Star Wars.
Okay, go on.
Loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
I was born in 1995, so the prequels are like really prime for me in terms of like I saw Attack of the Clones in cinema when I was 7. Loved it.
Yeah.
Saw Revenge of the Sith in cinema when I was 10. Best thing ever.
Yeah.
Got really into the originals. When the new ones were coming out, I was really excited. I got on board the Force Awakens hype. Loved it. Didn't like Rogue One. Loved Last Jedi. Everyone else didn't. I got, it just all got really hostile for me. The fan base, and the fan base was just such I don't know. It didn't feel fun to like Star Wars anymore. And then Rise of Skywalker, I hate. I just really dislike it. But in terms of like inspiration of me, I was never a kid growing up. Like again, like there's some people who grew up big Spielberg kids. The thing that made them want to make films is watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, and and watching Star Wars. Like they fell in love with filmmaking and storytelling through those films, and they were like, I want to make that. I never watched Star Wars, and that I liked it, but they weren't the reason why I'm like making anything.
Right. Okay.
If I'm being honest, I would never. It's just not what I would ever want to do.
Yeah.
It's not what I feel compelled to make.
Yeah.
Which is funny because the film that made me want to make something was Inception, but I don't want to make Inception.
Yeah.
But I think it's the level of creativity that made me really get like. Inception was the first film that made me go, oh my God, there's layers. Film can be so intricately done.
Yeah.
And again, the story can really like it isn't just simple good guy fights bad guy and the end, which I think can be done well. But I don't know. I'm a lot more. I'm much more interested in stuff within grey area.
Right.
Good evil doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
But like I think that's why maybe Batman I love Batman because there's a bit of like, you know, there is a grey area.
Yeah.
He is a good guy, but also, you know, there's like elements, there's like layers to him. Yeah. He's not squeaky clean. I think that's where it is with me though. But
yeah, that's very, very interesting to consider all that. I mean, obviously Batman and Inception, you both mentioned Christopher Nolan.
Chris Nolan,
so that's probably more of an inspiration, I suppose, that particular...
Chris Nolan was my first favourite director. He's not now, but he's my first favourite filmmaker. He's the first director that I watched all of his films. Yeah. Every single one. So
And did you see kind of the consistency or development in his work kind of throughout his career, would you say? I
think from 1998 to 2010 is one of the best runs a director has ever had. Following Memento, Insomnia, Batman Begins, Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception. There's not a fault there. Dark Knight Rises I like. I don't think it's aged massively well. I think Interstellar is gorgeous and it's an amazing soundtrack, but people are tricked to thinking it's good, which is a bold statement to make. I think the story's naff. I think it's just whatever. And I didn't like Dunkirk. It just fell completely flat. Tenet, didn't care for. It was like I was confused and I didn't care enough to try to understand it. And then, but I liked Oppenheimer a lot. Really liked Oppenheimer. Yeah. That, to me, Nolan, for the longest time, what I liked about Nolan's films wasn't the scale and how big his films were. I liked the concepts and the characters and like the way he did all that. I mean, you watch The Prestige because you want to see, you know, you're enthralled by the relationship between these two guys and what they're doing to each other. Whereas all Interstellar has is like, look at how amazing space is. Because yeah, it looks good, but what else? Yeah. This film's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. What else have you got? And like Dunkirk didn't have a story. It was like, we're just showing World War II. And I'm like, well, many films show World War II. Yeah. But what else have you got? Whereas Oppenheimer, we're like, all right, we're following this guy and we're seeing his journey. And it's a big film. It's a big film. There's a big scale with it. But like, I'm not, it's almost like, I guess like a simpler version of it. It's like, if you get given a cake, you're fine. And if that cake's amazing, great. And then the icing on top. Man, I love the cake anyway, but you know, the icing's made it better. Yeah. The scale to me in a Nolan film is the icing. The cake is like the story and the character. For the longest time, all Nolan was offering was just icing. So, I mean, yeah, it's nice for a little bit, but then I get sick of it. I'm fine with just the plain cake, if I'm being perfectly honest, like you did with Memento. Yeah. But like, whereas like Oppenheimer, I think it's like, it's the cake and the icing, really. Yeah.
It's so interesting you mentioned those three films in particular as the ones that you thought kind of lost it. Dunkirk. What were the other two again?
Interstellar and Tenet.
Yeah, because those, as you said it, I'm realising I'd never thought about it. Those are the three Christopher Nolan films that I've not made it all the way through.
Oh, really?
I've loved Memento. I think it's one of the best films.
It's incredible.
Fantastic film. But I remember with those three in particular, I've got a friend who absolutely loves Interstellar. And we were chatting, and I said, I started watching Interstellar. I said, I got about 45 minutes in. I actually didn't make it into space. I got to the bit where he's just about to get into space. And then I thought...
Space is the better bit as well. But
this is what my friend said. He said, we'll stick with it. But it already lost me by that point.
Exactly,
and I've always said, I will do one day. And it's just that day's never come. It's not interesting me. And Tenet was just too confusing for me. I think I lost it a bit.
I also have a weird association with that. Like, I saw like that... Remember that brief time where we were allowed to go to the cinema during the pandemic? Yeah. So I was like, I just went to the cinema because I was missing it. Yeah. But I just associate Tenet with like social distancing and wearing masks and and just being a bit confused, like nothing like. So I was like, oh, I guess I don't, you know. And I love. Do you know what? Robert Pattinson is like top 5 favorite actors for me right now. Right. I forgot he was in it. Okay. I forgot he was in it until I saw a screenshot of him. I was like, oh shit, yeah, Robert Pattinson was in a Christopher Nolan film. That should have been a big deal to me. Yeah. But I just forgot about him completely in that film.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't remember anything about the film, so like I can't remember it. Yeah. And And yeah, Dunkirk was similar. And I was really excited for Dunkirk because I'd not seen it before. I'd actually seen a lot of other... Because one of my favourite films ever is Hacksaw Ridge. I think that's... I just love the story of it. I love the kind of true thing. And then I watched 1917, thought that was phenomenal.
Great. Yeah, great.
So with the back of a couple of these things, I thought, right, I'm going to really enjoy Dunkirk. And I'd heard some good things about it, and I think Harry Styles is in it as well, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I like Harry Styles and that sort of thing, and then, but I didn't make it to Harry Styles.
You probably did. He blended in with everyone else, if I'm being honest with you. He's apparently non-existent, isn't that?
Yeah, but it's interesting because I know it's really critically reviewed. I know it's like I've heard some really good things about it.
Yeah, it was like it was the first time he was nominated for Best Director.
Yeah, okay.
It was for Dunkirk.
Yeah.
That was his first Oscar nomination for a director category. Was Dunkirk.
Yeah, well, that's right up there with Jekyll now as DiCaprio getting his Oscar win for Revenant for me personally. For I don't know. I just thought it was some.
I do like him in that. I saw
Yeah.
you talk about that. I do. I do like him in that. But I do agree, if he's winning anything, it shouldn't have been for.
Yeah, Shutter Island, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, something like that.
Even Wolf of Wall Street in terms of that,
yeah,
he's great in that.
Yeah, but yeah, we're there again.
Yes. Time flies when you're having fun,
absolutely, that's the thing. But for the third and final time, where can we find you if we want to see more of you?
You can find me on Instagram at Oscar Fitchett, FITCHETT. I realised because it's a hard name to spell. But yeah, and anything else, my link tree is linked in my Instagram where there's everything else there. But Instagram, Oscar Fitchett.
Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, man.
Cheers. Take care.